Dummy Switch Pod.
Yes,
World's greatest rugby podcast. How are you, Chris?
because in the words of Peter de Villiers, even when it's bad, it's good. So I'm good.
Yeah, kicking this thing off straight away. We are supposed to win. We are supposed to win.
Yeah.
Our hearts are
Yes.
broken. We were supposed to win this one, but it was like the Undertaker. You know, when the Undertaker's in the coffin in wrestling and then he gets back up. It was one of those moments for all of us.
Yeah, no, it was. And you're rightly so. We should have won that game. We conspired against ourselves in that game. Yes, I know there's certain aspects where, from an officiating point of view, there's some questionable calls, let's call it that. But at the same time, we were the ones that allowed the referee to have a say, in terms of how we didn't play,
Yeah, but we also can't sit here and blame the ref. It's not.
No.
Yeah,
no.
it's not what the world champions do.
I'm not doing that. I'm just saying we allowed those things to come into play because we failed to capitalize on the pressure in the first half I was fortunate enough to be at that game and watching it. We had space out wide. I think there's just that lack of clarity in terms of what happens when plan A doesn't work, because our plan B, which was the running, and we looked better ball in hand and there was space for us, if being there, you could see that there was space for us, is that, also be bold enough to back the plan B, you know what I mean, to say, okay, now let's
get to another plan A, plan B, because we were bold enough to back plan B in Joseph Dweba.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Dweba got a start, Monambia out. We are bold enough to even Jesse Creel leading up all week. It had been, guys, come on, let's back Jesse Creel. Jesse Creel's done this in a Bok jersey. He's done that in a Bok jersey. That plan B is not working anymore. That plan B, I think it's time to throw it out the window. If we're talking selections as well, Ox came in for Trev as well, and Ox, all these guys that came in, even Vermeulen came in, changes early. All these guys seem to be a bit undercooked coming into this game. So we're talking about plan A, plan B. The plan B definitely didn't work in terms of selections.
Yeah, rightly so. And actually, I like that point, Quarters, that you're making from a selection point of view, because, I was also thinking in my mind that, the Boks finding themselves in a position where it's like, okay, and they have said it, the main goal is 2023, is to defend the World Cup. Cool, and now it's how many wins do you want to give away, in that quest,
And this is a pivotal moment. It's a pivotal moment for the All Blacks. I think we've seen it, especially post-match. They're all coming out and backing Coach Carter. They're all coming out and saying, no, this one is for Coachy. They're all there because it's a pivotal moment for them. It was more for them than for us. We've turned that corner long ago, and we know we can turn it on and turn it off. But this was their moment.
Yeah, it was their moment for that group, for that All Black group, because quite honestly, I didn't think that they had it in them. They were in tatters in the first test, definitely, but of course they were going to come back. They are the All Blacks, but one thing for sure is that, again, you're only as good as your opposition allows you to play. And in this test, they really wanted it a bit more than our guys, and you could see that on the park, because we weren't dominating the game line, even defensively, we weren't making as many defensive tackles as we were last week. Yeah, we were waiting a lot of the times in the line, for the contact and not going up, because if you saw the first test match, the Boks were always going forward. But
let me get to that point also. Let's get to that point also, because the fact of the matter is Jesse Creel goes off. Jesse Creel highlights of the game. Clark showing him up on, Adi Savia showing him up on the wing, and then you've got Clark that ultimately takes him out. What happens then is the same situation that we see where goes to the wing. You've got Damian Willemse that goes to 12, and you've got Dialendi that goes to 13. That you want to talk about offensive defense, and defensive systems. Dialendi got caught out twice. The one time he shot, the other time he didn't track. So these are the sort of things when you're talking about defense. It's like, again, it's that question of why. Okay, did do. This was the test as well. This was they were playing.
This is the Lukhanyo show.
Yeah, they were playing for the Freedom Cup, but that guy was playing with freedom there. He was playing. He looked so free on that. He doesn't even wear a gum guard, just chewing bubble gum. He's just that guy. He doesn't care, but in a good way. It's that rejig of the backline. You've got to wonder when you see things like Dialendi doing that. Does it mess up the defensive system?
It does. You could see it a mile away. So what I observed is at the moment when Dialendi moved to 13, immediately the All Blacks wanted to test him out and let's put him under pressure and make him make a decision defensively. And he didn't make the best decision. That's how they got around us in that in building up to them scoring. And it's just you can't really move your controlling. 13 is outside center is a particular position. Not yes, anybody can fill in at outside center, but there's not a lot of players that really master that number 13 jersey and make it their own. We've seen it, the great number 13s that have played. You think about your O'Driscolls, think about Jock Fourie, you think about Umanga, those guys, just that 13 channel, there was an aura about just that channel. And Lukhanyo is that guy. He's got that. He organizes defensively. He's patient enough. He understands the lines that are coming at him. He's patient enough, in which I think Dialendi really wasn't. He wasn't controlling the line in terms of the slide and the press when they shoot, because they were disjointed. It wasn't in sync. I'm not saying that it's that he's a bad player. No, but the 13 is not his best position. He's better suited at inside center.
Yeah, even those changes, Ox was caught out, him and Dialendi that time. Again, it's breaks from the 22, broken play. That's when they seem to be feasting. Havili and Ioane were making those meters. Clark, he was a handful as well. So, guys, again, you can't regress test match to test match so much defensively. It's you've got to be thinking. And now Jesse Creel is gone as well. They've brought Moody into the squad, but again, it begs, what's gonna happen now? Dweba didn't even see 30 minutes. You saw that stare that he gave at the haka. My guy, we were there. I think Dweba.
What an anticlimax.
Yeah, we need to that one. I think, you think that they would bring in another hooker, but it looks like they've backed him to go on tour as well. And that is a common theme with the Springbok team. It's like once you're in the setup, you're in the setup. Yeah,
that's true. Once you're in the setup, you're in. And look, they give you a chance. And I think it's very difficult to get out of that group, But on the balance of it, honestly, if we're being honest, from a rugby perspective, is that he hasn't really sort of shot out the lights. If you think of all his opportunities that he's gotten, he's shown that he's good enough to be in a test side, but he's not a world-class hooker like Mbonambi, like Marks. He's not at that level. He's really not. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how long he lasts, honestly speaking, before a guy like Johan Grobler from the Bulls gets a look in. Honestly,
you must start packing his bag, Start cleaning the boots, start putting them in your bag, because he might be getting that call anytime soon.
Yeah.
Otherwise, alternatively, they're going to go with Dion Faria Ruka.
Yeah, which you think, okay, fine, yes, you know what you get from him at franchise level, but we haven't really seen much at test level. So it's saying, do you want to now see what a new senior player has got to offer at test level, or are you going to be looking to cast the nets a little bit wider to somebody else in that position to say, right, let's see what you've got, and just be familiar with the system as well, because
he's the type of guy you want in a bar fight. So I don't know, like Australia and Argentina could be good places to introduce him. So, but we'll see from there.
Impact, hopefully makes that impact.
Hopefully makes that impact as well. I mean, you think of Jesse Creel going out now. You've also got to think about other wingers in South Africa that they need to bring into that group potentially. You think back to last week when we were talking about Fassi being included. These are all it's becoming a bit of a saga.
It is, because now let's look at it, right? Guys, like, when is Etzebeth going to get a break? For example, because you don't want him breaking down at the wrong time, i.e. next year before the World Cup, Lord, let's be honest, guys. We know what we've got in Etzebeth. We know what we've got in Lord. We know, you brought in a Murat, he didn't even get a look in. You understand what I'm saying? So my question is, where's the next secondary combination? Where's it going to come from?
But again, do you want to go with plan B? Are we trying to develop for Rugby World Cup, or are we trying to win this rugby championship?
Well, I guess, look, obviously the winning is always going to be at the top of the list. I don't think any team goes out to lose, okay? But at the same time, you need to refresh your squad. We need to think and account for what happens. It's a long time between now and the World Cup. Let's say what happens at club level. Etzebeth gets injured, Blood gets injured, RG Steinman's still struggling. Maybe he's struggling with these injuries. All of a sudden now we're looking very, very thin. At lock. Okay, granted, yes, there's guys that have caps. Mostard's got caps. Ori's got caps. Peter Steph to talk and play there, but are we actually building an engine there? Things like that. Is that in certain departments, there needs to be, yes, we must have that plan B in place, because we know what we have with plan A. We know that those guys, Etzebeth and Lot, are definite starters. Bracket them in. We don't know if form can change, but you get what I'm saying. Dweba coming in, it's very hard to get a hold of their thinking, but that's why they're in the top jobs, But at the end of the day, we want results. I mean, the aeroplane flew over, man. It flew over the fly fair, man. Like, and I was like, I even said to the person sitting there, I said, man, they can't lose now. Like, they can't lose now, and they lost. But in saying all of that, kudos, we have to also credit the way that they actually fought back to get into the league.
Yes. If we go back to moments in the game, I mean, again, first half, that Tokeo try again. We've talked about the defense. Was a pillar. Tokeo just saw food. Too easy. That's when things sort of, Dweba was off, Visa is on, Kitsov is on, and Lukhanyo shows up with that try on Clark, showing Clark what he does to other people.
Man,
the strength of the man.
Do you not see it live? It was Lukhanyo. I'm sorry, he's got so much time. And I think we said it. It said every time that guy touches the ball, we're more likely to score or create an opportunity. And hey, that guy just has time on the ball. Things just slow down for him. Everything that he does, but just the quality of that guy, the quality of the player that he is. Geez, man, what a moment and what a try! Like, I don't think it'll be a very long time you'll see a try like that against an All Black team.
And again, it's there were so many momentum shifts. you look at that, it was a momentum shift. You go into halftime, I think it was 10-15, then get a penalty, 13-15. It's closer. The momentum kept on shifting. We were lucky we actually didn't get a yellow card when they scored that try, because there should have been a second yellow card. I think someone came in with a clothesline there. Then again, momentum changed, this time with Visa. Didn't hear the whistle, supposedly. That was a classic high school play. Didn't hear the whistle. So again, it's one of those that's contentious with the ref. I'm not going to be. What can you do?
Yeah, look, you know, it's just being awareness. But no doubt, he made a bigger impact when he came on. All of a sudden, what I saw was that, you know, the carries. There was somebody actually from our pack that was going forward, getting some sort of momentum, and he helped us get back into that into that game. But at the same time, you know, it's just the discipline. But also, what frustrates me the most about this team is, we're the world champions, yes, you know, and when you wrestle back momentum in a match and you get ahead on the scoreboard, you know, I think we've been calling for this and saying for this, the killer instinct, you know, that, yes, fine, granted it's test level, but it just seems like our team has, you know, goes on a high, maybe one game, 2 games in a row, depending on who they're playing, and then they dip, they lose, and then, because
you can argue every 20 minutes. We do that every 20 minutes. We peak and then we fall. This one, again, we were on the ascendancy. We were building momentum change with Visa. It looks like another momentum change when goes straight through again with that Hendricks again backing up into one of the locks there. But again, a call where it's like, I think it was obstruction. I'm not going to be too hard on the ref there. It's these calls when it's like, if you're in that position, what do you do?
Yeah, you see. So yeah, you know, it's rugby. The thing is that happens on the rugby field. You know, we can't always now say, no, but the ref. Look, the rugby, the laws, it's down to interpretation. That's why we love this game. Everybody sees the game differently. We just want clarity on the laws. That's all I'm saying. You know, I know you think it was obstruction. I don't believe it was obstruction. I believe Barrett chased that contact because he knew what was happening. It's pure.
For me, it was Hendricks leaning. Hendricks leaning was the one that the only reffing decision that I will say was contentious was that Visa one actually came from a skew lineout. So that's where I can say that okay there. But again, momentum change there. Momentum, now it's an All Blacks penalty. They get points on the board. But we managed to swing it again. Getting that turnover in All Blacks territory there. Kwagga Smith, I think we need to shout him out for that pass, because plenty of forwards would have just put their head down, gained some more meters. So Kwagga Smith, I think, showing that maturity as well, because we know how he was one of those, again, like Vissa, where early test matches making a couple of mistakes, but I think the maturity there to pass it to Willemse out wide, again, which is a positive of him moving into 12. So there are positives and negatives of moving that back line around, but get that ball wide to Mapimpi again, momentum change, Box taking the lead.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt. Let's just be clear on what to say. There's no doubt. This team is good. You know, this team is good. It's just they can be better. You know what I mean? And we just want to see more of the better more often in a game, you know, because you talk about moments like that. Yes, the benefit of, you know, a Willemse having shifted to 12, you know, I think also just an element of decision making, you know, that can be better. Just in the first half with him, when you moved to 12, you know, there's 3 players outside of him. He chose the boot, not the right option in my view, but nonetheless, just his general play, and you could see his impact in the play. And I wanted to throw a spanner at you and say, if you saw how many times he was operating more as a first receiver or how Pollard was making sure he gets the ball to him as quickly as possible, with him at 12 and him being a playmaker, being able to unlock the defense, do you think that there will be a time now where to say start him at 12, him and to understand exactly what he can bring? I know. Hear me out. I know he's our 15. I know he's our 15, and we don't want to be moving him around so much because he's settling at 15. But the level of impact that he has at 12, the more he touches the ball, it's very difficult to ignore, or what he brings. And it takes me back to early days when we started off and looking at him. And I know I, for one, was seeing him and saying, I see him as a 12 for the box, having seen him through the junior levels and what he's done. So, yeah, do you think... I believe there is, and that's why I'm throwing it at you to say.
My main thing is going off of form. You can't move Dialendi right now. Dialendi is quietly having a very good season.
Solid season, yes.
Yeah, he's doing okay. It's just when he gets moved to 13, that's when we're seeing things happening that also can also be put down on the coaching group, because it's like they refuse to, the way that they jig their bench and the players that they select, they've got no one that can play 13. So there, Dialendi, I can't say it's his fault. But for me, yes, I wouldn't see them doing that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. I personally wouldn't do it myself as well, because Dialendi is solid at the moment. It's like Willie Leroux all of a sudden is also quietly having a good season. Yes. So it's I wouldn't be too quick to do that. I think there's other areas that need addressing before that, and I don't think that this close to a World Cup that they would do it. Possibly we'll see something. I can see a situation where in the World Cup he's playing at 12 because of maybe an injury or something like that. But moving him now, I don't think at the moment.
But let me tell you why I sort of pose that idea is looking at just the game on Saturday. If you saw, and if we're honest with ourselves, our guys, as much as yes, there was times where we showed glimpses, there were momentum, things like that, but we were flat. There was no energy. The intent was there, but it just looked like they couldn't just break that ceiling. And the first giveaway there is the intensity of the kick chase. Obviously, the All Blacks planned for that and so on and so forth, but it wasn't the same intensity as what we saw in the first test, and looking at, say, okay, when they alternate to say, right, the contestables are not giving us anything right now, let's move over to just getting the ball out. Dialende at 12 doesn't always
make those passes. Yeah, he doesn't make those passes.
And with Willemse, and we saw that by benefit of the injury, at 12, the ball got out.
But again, it's whether the coaching team is going to decide that that's the way that we're going to play now. And they're not the bravest. They're not the bravest in terms of switching things up. The only thing that we really do is it's bomb squad. That's the only thing we do.
Yeah, I'm saying that as a matter of, when they do make those changes. For example, like a test against, let's use the second test against Wales, when they did make all those 14 changes to say, okay, well, some of the changes, the thinking behind it maybe would be around, yes, the contestables will be the base, but around that, because then that should allow for yes.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah, no, I can see that happening where they take off Dialende and they move him there, and then stays at 13, but the problem is we've been having backline injuries, so it's forcing it rather than it being a tactical move. But I can see how you're saying it can be used as a tactical move in the future.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that to say, maybe that can be an option because we've got the guys, man. We've got the players. It's just like we said, it's just then we need to hang their hats on their guys to say, okay, no, these are my guys. And then these ones, I still need to find out more, and if that means that you give the big guns a rest, every other test, because, I mean, it's a bit, they're going to play him into the ground. You saw at the back end of that test, he was on the ground, he was cramping up, and it's obviously it's effort, but just a thought.
It's effort on the bench for me, man. The way that they're structuring the bench, guys, I think it maybe needs to be revisited. There's some guys also holding on to bog places where, I mean, you think of Herschel, where you're just like, guys, surely we can put someone in there that makes more of an impact. Going back to the game, the momentum at that point. Barrett gets a yellow card. We're in the lead now. You think surely this is it. Surely this is it. Yeah. But again, clearly it's that thing that we talked about. Every 20 minutes we're up and down, and that's I think that's where they call it a test match. That's where the All Blacks really put us to the test, and they wanted it more and got over.
Yeah. I think it's just that recognizing the moments and capitalizing on them, because quite frankly, yes, as much as the All Blacks, credit to them, they came back, came out fighting, firing and all of that, and their coaches did their job. Of course, they were going to do their job and check and do better and put better plans in place. But we just, by virtue of us not being at that level where, in the 12th round, you can give the killer blow when needed, and that's a common theme, especially against the All Blacks, where when we're supposed to win, we don't, and how long can we accept that as a public, That's my question. We can't say, but it's the All Blacks. I'd rather lose to the no, it's a thing to say. We just want our team to get to that level, that almost invincible level, you know what I mean? Because right now there's nobody that's got that invincible level, which is good for rugby, but I believe that this team can get there, can get there. They really can.
Yeah, looking forward to the next game. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a saga in between. It's always a saga with SA Rugby. It is. This is our daily bread. This is what happens year on year.
But this is what Rassie wanted. He said he wanted people to be talking about the Springboks when he came into the job, to say, because if people are not talking about Springboks, they, it's not good, so, we are invested. All of the public is invested. We want this team to do well. We want, those guys, those journalists from the, to shut up. That's what we want. We want to actually underline and underpin that, we really are top dogs, so we'll get there.
Yeah. Pivotal times. Yeah. Any closing remarks, Chris?
Look, I think just there is more pressure now on the box because it's Australia again. And there's ghosts that are waiting there from last year. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the rest of the championship.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is, guys, the rest of the players on the fringe, keep your phones on. Don't put them on silent. Maybe clean your boots. Get ready because there's some guys that need to fall out and some that must fall in.
Yeah.